Spider-Man. Brand new day just accomplished something that has completely changed the conversation around superhero movies, and it's exposing a much bigger problem for DC than anyone expected. In just days, Marvel's newest Spider-Man film has surged toward the billion-dollar mark worldwide, while Supergirl continues to struggle after months in theaters and a disappointing digital release. Now, with the gap between the two films becoming impossible to ignore, Warner Brothers executives, DC Studios leadership, and several people behind Supergirl are facing growing questions about what went wrong. But instead of focusing only on the numbers, a new debate has erupted over the real reason for the movie's failure. Was it weak marketing, the story, audience interest, or are studio executives blaming entirely different factors? Because the latest comments coming from Warner Brothers leadership are now generating even more controversy, and some fans believe those statements could make the situation even worse. Before we break everything down, if you enjoy Hollywood news, box office analysis, and the biggest stories surrounding Marvel, DC, Disney, and the entertainment industry, make sure to subscribe to SubiiVerse and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates. Welcome back, everyone. Today is August 5th, 2026, and one of the biggest stories dominating Hollywood right now is the massive difference between Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and Supergirl at the global box office. The comparison has become impossible to ignore. Marvel's latest Spider-Man film reached extraordinary numbers within only a matter of days, climbing close to the $1 billion worldwide milestone. Meanwhile, Supergirl, after spending months in theaters, has reportedly earned only around $130 million globally, creating one of the widest performance gaps we've seen between two major superhero releases in recent years. For Warner Brothers and DC Studios, that comparison couldn't come at a worse time. As Spider-Man continues breaking records across international markets, Supergirl has remained under intense scrutiny, not only because of its theatrical performance, but also because of reports suggesting its early digital release has struggled to generate the momentum the studio had hoped for. With those discussions growing louder, several key figures connected to the project, including Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, DC Studios co-head James Gunn, lead actress Millie Alcock, and screenwriter Anna Nogueira, have all found themselves at the center of a growing debate over why the film failed to meet expectations. And now David Zaslav's latest remarks are creating an entirely new wave of discussion. Before we get into those comments, it's important to understand the position Warner Brothers currently finds itself in. Zaslav is reportedly approaching the final stretch of his tenure as CEO, with multiple reports suggesting leadership changes could take place later this year as broader corporate restructuring and merger discussions continue behind the scenes. That alone places additional pressure on every major release coming from Warner Brothers, especially one that was expected to help strengthen confidence in the future of the DC universe. Instead, the opposite appears to be happening. Every major success from Marvel is now being compared directly to DC's recent performance, and Spider-Man: Brand New Day has become the clearest example of that comparison. The film's rapid box office success has intensified questions surrounding DC Studios' creative direction, marketing strategy, and long-term plans under James Gunn's leadership. But according to recent comments attributed to David Zaslav, the financial comparison between these two films doesn't tell the entire story. Instead, he argued that today's superhero landscape presents a much larger challenge than many people realize. According to Zaslav, one issue he believes continues affecting the industry is the limited number of female-led superhero films compared to movies centered around male characters. He suggested that Supergirl represented an effort to expand that landscape, but acknowledged that the film ultimately failed to achieve the commercial success Warner Brothers had hoped for. Zaslav also echoed comments previously made by James Gunn, arguing that male-led superhero franchises often have an easier path at the global box office because of long-established audience recognition. Using Spider-Man: Brand New Day as an example, he suggested that comparing the two films strictly through financial results ignores several other factors that studios have to consider when evaluating a project's overall performance. Rather than focusing exclusively on ticket sales, Zaslav emphasized that storytelling should remain the primary conversation. He defended James Gunn's decision to move forward with the project and praised the collaboration between Gunn and screenwriter Anna Nogueira, maintaining that the creative vision behind Supergirl was one the studio still believes in. At the same time, however, he admitted the production faced significant obstacles throughout its release, obstacles that, in his opinion, played a major role in preventing the movie from reaching its expected box office goals. And that's where his comments became even more controversial. According to Zaslav, the film wasn't simply competing against another superhero movie, it was also battling what he described as broader challenges affecting the genre itself. According to Zaslav, one of the biggest issues facing Hollywood today is what many people have started calling superhero fatigue. In his view, audiences aren't showing the same level of excitement they once had for comic book films, and that changing trend has made it increasingly difficult for studios to deliver consistent box office success. He also pointed to another growing trend inside the entertainment industry: video game adaptations. Over the past few years, Hollywood has invested heavily in bringing popular gaming franchises to the big screen, and many of those projects have generated impressive results both financially and with audiences. Zaslav suggested that this shift is another sign the market is evolving, forcing superhero franchises to compete for attention in ways they never had to before. At the same time, he argued that Supergirl faced challenges that extended beyond competition at the box office. According to his comments, the film became the target of intense online criticism long before many people had even seen it. Zaslav claimed that actress Millie Alcock and screenwriter Anna Nogueira were subjected to waves of hostile comments across social media, and he believes that environment contributed to the movie's overall reception. He also suggested that comparing Spider-Man Brand New Day directly to Supergirl isn't entirely fair. In his opinion, Spider-Man is one of the most recognizable characters in entertainment history, with decades of popularity behind him. Because of that, he argued, a direct financial comparison doesn't automatically reflect the quality of either film. Instead, Zaslav maintained that Warner Brothers should be judged by the story it attempted to tell rather than by ticket sales alone. He also reminded audiences that Supergirl still has additional opportunities to find viewers through digital platforms and, eventually, streaming. The studio, he said, hopes the movie will continue attracting audiences after its theatrical run, particularly once it becomes available to a wider subscriber base. Now, let's stop there for a second, because this is where the conversation becomes much more divided. Many fans simply don't agree with the superhero fatigue argument. Personally, I think there's an important distinction that often gets overlooked. It's not necessarily superhero fatigue. It's bad superhero movie fatigue. Those are two very different things. History has shown that audiences are still more than willing to support comic book movies, provided they're given a story that truly excites them. When viewers believe a film offers compelling characters, strong writing, and memorable action, they'll still show up in massive numbers. And the success of Spider-Man Brand New Day only strengthens that argument. If audiences were genuinely tired of superhero movies as a whole, we probably wouldn't be watching another superhero film approach the billion-dollar mark worldwide. That suggests people haven't lost interest in the genre. They're simply becoming much more selective about which projects they spend their money on. Now, to be fair, I do think Zaslav raises one interesting point. The rise of video game adaptations is absolutely real. Hollywood has clearly recognized the growing popularity of gaming franchises, and more studios are investing heavily in adapting those stories for film and television. That trend is likely to continue over the next several years, but I don't believe that automatically means superhero films are finished. If anything, it raises the standard. Studios can no longer rely solely on famous characters or recognizable brands. Audiences expect stronger scripts, better storytelling, and movies that actually feel worth leaving home to watch. And that's where the pressure now shifts back to DC Studios. Because if Marvel continues delivering major box office successes while DC struggles to build momentum, comparisons like this are only going to become more common. Zaslav wasn't finished there. He continued defending the film, arguing that several outside factors worked against Supergirl's performance. He once again referenced the online backlash directed toward Millie Alcock and Anna Nogueira, saying both deserved far better treatment from portions of the audience and even from some entertainment media outlets covering the film. According to Zaslav, the criticism surrounding the project became far more personal than it should have, and he believes the creative team deserved greater recognition for the work they put into bringing the movie to life. He also suggested that because Spider-Man Brand New Day centers on one of the most iconic male superheroes ever created, Marvel avoided many of the controversies that surrounded Supergirl before and after its release. In his view, that difference also played a role in how each movie was received by the public. Whether audiences agree with that explanation, however, is an entirely different question. But this is where the story takes another major turn. Now here's where things become even more controversial. Zaslav went on to say that Millie Alcock and Anna Nogueira deserve far more support from both moviegoers and entertainment media. He argued that the criticism surrounding the film became unfair and suggested they should be recognized for the effort they put into the project rather than being blamed for its disappointing performance. But many fans simply don't see it that way. A large portion of the criticism wasn't just about the movie itself. It also came from interviews and public comments made during the film's promotional campaign. Some viewers felt those remarks pushed audiences away before the movie even reached theaters. Another topic now generating attention is Anna Nogueira's future at DC Studios. Despite the backlash surrounding Supergirl, she's still attached to major upcoming projects, including Wonder Woman. That decision has sparked fresh debate among DC fans, with many questioning whether Warner Brothers should continue moving forward with the same creative team. According to recent reports and industry speculation, there's also been ongoing disagreement behind the scenes over DC's future direction. While Warner Brothers continues publicly supporting James Gunn and his team, rumors suggest internal discussions about future projects are becoming increasingly complicated. How much of that is true remains unclear, but it's another sign that DC Studios is entering a very important period. At the same time, Warner Brothers is also dealing with larger corporate changes and ongoing business developments, meaning the future of the DCU could depend heavily on how the studio responds over the next several months. For now, one thing is certain. Spider-Man: Brand New Day has become one of the biggest box office success stories of the year, while Supergirl continues facing difficult questions about its theatrical run, digital performance, and the overall direction of the franchise moving forward. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with David Zaslav's explanation for Supergirl's performance, or do you think the real reason was something completely different? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.